Okay, it is windy and rainy as heck, but there is an awesome storm happening right now on the North Island. So let's go photograph some of this storm. Woohoo! Okay, I'm not sure how much you're gonna be able to hear because it's super windy, but we're at a place called Thomas Point. And it's this cliff that comes up and these waves just come shooting up out of the ocean and it's awesome. Let me show you. Just incredible, look at this color. The sea was angry that day, my friends. The sea was angry. Let's do some pictures. It's windy. Gotta love the weather. The winds are about a 90 to 120, gusting. Woohoo! Whew. Camera is absolutely drenched. Gotta dry that baby off for sure. I'm absolutely drenched. Mav didn't go near the cliffs, but he went by the beach over there. Oh, man, I love good weather. It's so much fun. But I am cold. Time to warm up. Let's go edit some photos. I love a good storm. I think a lot of people don't, but I do. Especially when there's lots of water and winds and waves. Whoa, makes it so much fun. So I was shooting on my wide as well as my telephoto. I did some shots on the tripod, but it was just too windy. The tripod was just shaking in the wind with the camera, acted a bit of a sail. So see how those pictures turn out. But essentially, if you are shooting out in crazy weather, obviously the first thing you want to make sure is that your camera is weather resistant or weather sealed. All the high-end cameras, I shoot Canon, so anything in the R series or the professional line, they're gonna be weather sealed. So make sure your lenses and your camera, oh, this road is bumpy, are all weather sealed. If not, bring a garbage bag, some kind of protective covering for your camera and lens. Then obviously when you're done, dry everything off as soon as you can because you don't want any moisture getting inside. So this is the first set of storms rolling through. It's November and on the North Island. If you love storm watching anywhere on Vancouver Island, late fall and into winter is your best time to do some storm watching. So if you're wanting to get out there and see some big waves and some big weather, winter is the time to go. Obviously you're going to be cold, but Vancouver Island typically doesn't get snow a lot during the winter, but it does. It'll drop to 5, 3, 1 degree, 0 degrees. So it definitely does get cold, so dress appropriately. Have your rain gear, have some layers. Be ready to be cold. It's part of the fun. On a very bumpy road. I'm really sorry for the shaky footage. I wasn't really planning on making a video today about this, but it was just so good out there. I'm like, man, I gotta share this with everybody because it's so much fun. I love it. All right, we're back in the studio. It was wet out there. I am soaked. All right, let's edit these photos and see what we can come up with. But let's change the setup here a little bit. Okay, we are back in the studio. Changed the camera setup. I was shooting that all on my iPhone because I didn't want to get this camera soaking wet because it's not weather sealed. So we have now culled all our photos. I thought I'd go through each photo and tell you why I like it and what I did and how I shot it. Let's get into it. All right, let's go through each of the photos that I picked. My thought process for every time I edit a photo is, will someone like this and would they hang it on their wall? So they're gonna look a little different depending on how you are looking at them. Don't think of it as a series of photos from one event. Think of each picture as an individual picture that someone could pick rather than a series of pictures from one event. Does that make sense? The idea is every time I take a photo, I want people to hang it on the wall. Speaking of which, did you know that all of my photos are for sale on my website? It's true. There's a link down below if you want to support everything that I do here on this channel. I would love if you click on that link, find a print or a photo that you love for someone that you love, and gift it to them. It's almost Christmas time. It's a great time to give someone a print. Every single one of them is printed by me here in my studio, signed and sent to you with love. So there's a little PSA, little love, little something something for you to check out. Link is down below. Back to the regular programming. All right, so let's go through each one of these photos here. Here's the thing about the North Island. If it's going to rain, inevitably the sun is going to come out for a brief second and give you a rainbow. Happens almost every single time it rains up here. There are more rainbows up here than anywhere else I've ever been. So if it's going to rain, expect a rainbow. You just got to be there. And I love this photo because it looks like the seagull is pooping a rainbow, or making the rainbow, however you want to put it. Is pooping rainbow? Does that sound like a good picture title? Obviously I wanted to give some photos that give a picture of the scale of these waves. That cliff there is probably 30, 40 feet. Those waves just splashing up against that rock face and splashing out back into the ocean. Just so amazing to watch. I'm a big fan of textures, so whenever I see a scene like this, I want to capture it just to show the waves, the distance, the textures of the water as the waves and the wind are all interacting together. It makes me happy. Now, I don't do a lot of black and white photos, but I really wanted to capture a little bit of motion blur. I tried to put my camera with 100 to 500 on the tripod, but it was acting like a sail. The wind would just gust and then the camera would shake. So I had like maybe 1/8 of a second to capture a little bit of motion blur. It's not perfect, but it did capture a little bit of that movement of the waves with a slower shutter. Decided to make it a black and white, as well as this one. I wanted to make it a little bit black and white, show some motion blur, show some movement in the waves. It's not totally sharp, it's not totally perfect, but it did capture the moment in the way that I wanted, and I just love the idea of dark, stormy, and black and white. That's why I went for it in this way. I think it works. Once again, I said, just wait a little bit and a little rainbow will pop out. Pretty fun. Now this one, I've been wanting to capture an image like this for a little while, where I had, again, a slow shutter looking directly at the waves as they're coming in, having a little movement. I decided to go black and white with this again because I just love the contrast, the dark, stormy kind of day that I wanted to vibe with. And again, the shutter was 1/8, I think. Yeah, 1/8 of a second. And I was able to capture that moment. I did a few snaps of it on the tripod with a 2-second delay, so it would hopefully be as stable as possible. But again, the camera on the tripod with the wind blowing the way it was just blowing everywhere. And now over to Thomas Point. So before I was at Airport Beach shooting those photos. Now I've actually moved over to Thomas Point, where the waves are crashing up right up against the cliffs, and I went right up to the edge of the cliffs, decided to capture some of the waves going shoo. Thankfully the wind was going away from me, because sometimes when you go to this spot the wind is blowing right at you, those waves will splash right in your face, but thankfully they were kind of blowing off to the left, and it kind of gave me some cool photos of the waves crashing up against the cliffs and the rocks, and it was magnificent. Of course I had to do a little selfie with the waves. So handsome, so in, so yellow. Again, on this one, I decided to do a slower shutter, 1/10 of a second on this one. And I've just wanted to get a little bit of that movement, see some of those rocks. I wanted to go down onto these rocks to get a little closer, but again, the waves were so big, splashing so high, it was not a safe place to be. So I didn't go down on those rocks, despite me really, really wanting to. I like this photo because it almost looks like an explosion coming out of the rocks, because the waves are picking up all this debris and it's slamming up against the rocks and then going shooting out. And so again, slow shutter again, and just like this movement of an explosion happening on the rocks. Really happy with how that turned out. Again, it's not 100% sharp or clear because I was hand holding a slow shutter. You gotta do what you gotta do. Love this little cave crack in the rocks, just makes me happy. Some more explosions of waves happening up against the cliffs. It's so loud and so windy and so wonderful out there. This is looking back at Airport Beach from Thomas Point. You can just see the size of the waves. I'm like 30, 40 feet above the beach below, but these logs, which are like as big as my truck, just like being moved like they're little twigs in the ocean, just shows you how powerful the water and the waves and the wind can all be. Makes you really feel small. More crashing explosions. And then just one last photo of kind of the ocean, the background, all those things happening all over the place with the waves crashing up against the white water, logs in the water. So amazing. And there we go, friends. That was the first winter storm that I was able to photograph and film this winter. I'm going to go out to the west coast next time. This was on the east coast, the inside part of Vancouver Island. You go out to the west coast, makes these waves look like they're tiny, teeny tiny little nothing. You go out to the west coast and see some of those waves during the winter, you're in for a treat, and I'm going to do that this winter. Looking forward to doing that. But thank you so much for coming on this spontaneous journey today as I was out for a drive, taking the dog for a walk, and decided I had my camera, needed to go capture some of this awesomeness. And nature is just so wonderful and so powerful and so crazy, and sometimes it's just nice to bring a camera along and capture what you see. So thanks so much. Once again, my name is Jeff Heath. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll catch you next time.